Hey y'all, welcome to the second episode of Library Lootout. For those of you who do not know, this is a series where I go to the library and pick out three different videos. Each kind of pertains to a certain topic. So again, we're doing horror because I just went to the library and got a bunch of horror. So our kind of contenders for today are Three from Hell by Rob Zombie, the new Halloween, and a independent one called Delirium. So as I did last time, I'm going to talk about them in the order I watched, which is the order I showed them in. So first off, starting with Rob Zombie's Three from Hell. Now, this one's very much like its predecessor, which it's actually a direct sequel to, which is House of a Thousand Corpses. So, um, it's it's definitely got that Rob Zombie feel to it. It doesn't follow. Honestly, I feel like with his movies, and I think this is kind of the point, it feels like some kind of acid trip in a way, like more than anything. It doesn't, they're not meant to, they're not one to like, I shouldn't say provocative because they are provocative, but they're meant for you to watch and have fun, not necessarily for it to be, life changing or anything. It's his vision, his movie, and you're just living in it, which I think is really good. Just kind of for what it is. I think it did a good job. Um, I think his wife, Sherry Moon, Zombie, really did a really good job with this one. Not like the last one was bad at all, but like really stepped up the game. In all, I found it enjoyable to watch, especially the last fight scene, but didn't really play out as so much of a horror movie, but more of an action movie, which I kind of, take of it as you will. That's all I'm going to say for that one for now. Next I watched is the new Halloween. Now, it's kind of a sequel to the others. Finally, as we think, taking down as it leaves off. Spoiler alert, skip a few, maybe a minute ahead if you don't want to hear this. But they kill Michael Myers. But or kill because he technically can't die. But I thought it was a little slow in the beginning. I really didn't know where it was going all the way. Um, but I started to like it a bit more when it really got into the action of it. And I'll be honest, like Halloween from the original is one of the few slashers that I can actually stand. Normally, like Friday the 13th, did not like it. Um, didn't really resonate with me. You got Scream, no, even worse. And then you got your what's the other? Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street was okay. I'll give it that. Both versions, but I don't feel they really. I feel they kind of just they come off as cheesy because I feel like as a kid, it's almost like a folk legend. You know where it's gonna go. Freddy Krueger's got like these hands that have knives and he goes through your dreams. Like, I mean, we even have Scary Terry in Rick and Morty. Like, it's such a capitalized off thing. So I think that really ruins slasher films. I mean, if they're your jam, they're your jam. You do you do what you gotta do. But they're really not my gig, I guess. This one was good though. Follows now the grandmother of the original killings and essentially follows her and her being overprotective of her daughter and um, essentially the Dar wants nothing to do with her, and it's kind of a weird relationship because she wants Michael Myers to get out of prison so she can kill him, but at the same time that endangers her family. So it's really weird, and she's has a lot of issues from the killings and what went on. So she tries to fix that, and yeah, sorry, I just had like a sneeze. Okay, yeah, no, yeah, she tries to fix that, but it really doesn't work out that well. So you know, um, it was pretty good though. Like I said, uh, they finally do get him. But there's a couple twists and turns. The doctor. It seems one of the interesting things is he almost becomes such a legend that everyone wants to kill him and no one wants to kill him, which I think that's pretty neat, honestly. Just the whole way the thing played out was really unique, and I liked it. So going into the next, we have it's an independent film called Delirium. Now, this film, I'm gonna be honest, watching it, I couldn't get into it at all. From the first, and with horror movies especially, I'm pretty judgmental on what the opening scene is. But one thing that bothered me the most about this film is it can't decide whether it wants to be in one box of a found footage film or it wants to be an actual like drama. It switches back and it almost forgets what it is. It The plot line is essentially there's this group of young boys and they go to these haunted places and they have like this gang and they initiate people by putting in one of their members and seeing how long they can last, in this like kind of gangish, or not gang, but like house or sewer or whatever the spooky place is. And turns out, well, this one's actually haunted. Um, no surprise. I thought the movie was pretty cliche. Um, it really didn't have anything unique. None of the characters really stayed with you. Um, from the poster of it, she never appears once in the movie. Like, it just, there's so much off about it, and, I feel because it's not a Hollywood production. You can't, I don't know if Three from Hell was. Oh yeah, it's got Lionsgate backing. Okay, so it's up there. But definitely Halloween was. For an independent, it's got a little bit of charm, but there's not much to it. It's pretty much a group of rowdy teenagers go into a house, realize it's haunted, start doing weird things. A couple of them get possessed. Woo, spooky! And there's a few jump scares. It is literally the most overdone thing um, ever. I didn't find much enjoyment in it at all. It it just didn't hold up for me. I don't know what it was. I'm not a big found footage guy either. I'll give it that. But literally half of the movie, I found myself checking my phone, like kind of half-ass watching it because there just seemed no substance. It was like bland. I know where it was going. It has nothing to do with delirium, which, for those of you who don't know, that is if someone gets sick, your body kind of reacts and it can mentally affect you and cause you to do weird things. Um, that just doesn't that's not a thing like in here. Like it everything just seems off about it. Like it tries to draw you in with all this like promise, and then it literally, I got the impression that this was like a heavily funded college or high school project, which it may have well been by the end, because they kind of like, I think it was just a bunch of people who wanted to get together and do an independent film about what they made it look like. Um, but it's the whole thing's just weird. Like the plot lines don't add up at all. Like there's from the beginning, like their girlfriends are like, "Oh wait, can't we come with you?" And they're like, "No, no, it's guys only. It's guys only." Like no, no one's gonna do that. Like it's just such a cliche thing. They make out the characters to be a lot younger than they were. Now, if they were like somewhere in the range of like 10, 13 of characters doing this, it would have made sense. But they're like people who are probably 16 to 18. So it just, not the actors, but what they were portrayed in as the movie. And it just doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense at all. Really. And that's my whole issue with it. Uh yeah, it just all in all, it wasn't one hell of a ride as it claims. It just it seemed like a knockoff, like a Blair Witch that couldn't decide if it wanted to do that or Paranormal Activity today. The whole thing just seemed disjointed. So I guess moving on to ranking them, we'll start with the worst, and I think you guys know what that's going to be. Delirium. Need I say more? It just, other than I will give it credence to the end. Spoiler alert, if you're actually going to watch it, which I would not suggest because I literally almost fell asleep at one point. One thing I will give it credit to, though, is it does a really interesting job with the ending. They see this painting in the beginning and of all these kids, and as they like die or get possessed or something by this, they start filling in the picture, and it was kind of a neat concept. But just one neat concept. See, the weird thing is, one neat concept can either make or break a movie. Like, if that was not in here, I think this honestly, this whole movie would have gotten thrown out in publishing. Um, However, like you see other movies like Us, really anticipated after Get Out, um, after Mr. Peel made it, really just really anticipated, um, and it was a great movie. Honestly, there is nothing that was bad about that movie. The score was amazing. The acting was amazing. The costumes were amazing. The scenery was amazing. It was all believable. But they missed one thing, and that was the ending. They did like this whole switcheroo. You could have just had the ending and kept it like that, rolled the credit scene, would have been done. But no, because that switch, it just broke the entire movie. Broke it. Like, and I feel like this one used its ending as its saving grace. However, I still, I don't think sitting through 1 hour and 30 minutes just to get to a 5 minute clip at the end before the credits is worth it. I just don't see that as, a good use of your time, I guess. Um, Now, there are some movies, like the one I talk about my S tier um, in my last video. There is one I would put on there because there is one horror movie that I did not like, but I couldn't sit through. And that has never happened to me before, and that's Irreversible. It's a French film. The thing is literally designed to make you throw up. Like it's not graphic, but the thing is filmed upside down, sideways. There's lights everywhere. It is a barrage, and I knew it was going to be weird going in, but now I see why. It's not so much for the story, but for that weird. So it's my regrettable S tier there. I need to do a video on my S tier. I need to actually lay it out so I can say this is my S tier, this is my A tier, my B tier, my C tier, you know. But all in all, just don't watch Delirium. Just don't. Like it's not worth your time. It's not entertaining to watch, and it's not gonna install a message or anything to take home with you. And I think those are the two biggest things in horror if you watch my last movie. So just Delirium, just don't. Next one I enjoyed. Now this was a toss up, I'm gonna be honest. But it's gonna have to go with Halloween in the middle. Now, I think for the average person, this is the more solid. Well, definitely than Delirium, it's more solid, but more solid than Three from Hell out of these three. I do think that for the average person. Now, I will explain when I get to Three from Hell why it was my favorite on this list. Um, Now, Halloween, the new one, I forget when it's made. So there's so many of these. When were you made? Okay. Okay, 2018. Okay. So 2 years ago that was made. And it's just a solid movie. I don't know what to say. I enjoyed it. It's fast paced. It's just like the other ones, but it has a spin. There's new design. There's new, just a lot of new stuff going on. They have this really cool scene where, because for those of you who don't know, Michael Myers is like, he's basically a god serial killer. You can't, he's the incarnation of evil. You can stab him, shoot him, whatever. It'll hurt him, but he'll come right back up for you. He doesn't go down. So they essentially had to lock him, spoiler alert, in a basement, and this basement was of the mom's design. This little swing around kitchen thing, and they like go under one of the drawers, and essentially they were down there, they were shooting at him, they push past him, lock him down there, closes, and then they just burn the entire house down. Which is a cliche of horror movies, but honestly, how else are you gonna do it, you know? The only other way would be to fly a bomb or a nuke over the house, which average people aren't gonna have that. I mean, the grandma was pretty prepared, not gonna lie. Um, so maybe she'd have that. I don't know if she could legally on that. So anyhow, solid movie. I think it was fun to watch. I don't think it had the same lasting impact though as the first one did. It was essentially Halloween the after story. So if you haven't seen the classic, you're gonna like it, but it's not gonna have that same push and pull for you. You know, you're not gonna get that same gratification, that same like resolution out of it. But I guarantee you they're gonna make another one. He's not dead. He's just like dead. So that's it. So now finally on to Three from Hell. Now why this was my favorite of the three is because there's one thing I think Rob Zombie does good with his movies, and that is he knows comedy works with horror and they work in tandem. Um, I think not like the movie's necessarily funny, but it has all his movies have this overly campy, artistic kind of feel to them, which I think is just really unique and like I'm gonna be honest, I don't consider myself a fan of his stuff, but it's always nice when another one of his like movies come out because you know it's gonna be different. It's gonna be him every time. It's gonna be this weird acid trip of a time, but it's gonna it's gonna be a fun one to watch. So it definitely doesn't have that like lasting impact on you. Is it a fun one to watch? Hell yes. Just especially because the one before this was with Captain Spaulding, the killer clown, and it kind of picks up after his death and follows through with the characters as they go to Mexico to essentially escape, U.S. authority. And it really just is three deranged people from a family that are serial killers trying to get by and doing weird stuff. I mean, it's completely illogical, it's completely unrealistic, not like either of the other two were, but it doesn't take itself seriously, and that's what I like about it. I just think it's always a joyride. It's always a fun thing with like his other movie 31 or House of a Thousand Corpses. It's always different, like from everything else. All his movies are basically the same, but they're different, and that is something that I can respect. Um, because much like Halloween, so Michael Myers, you know what you're getting into. With this, you know what you are getting into. And I just prefer, I think Halloween's the better criteria if I were to be a professional critic about it. But in my personal opinion, I just like the style of Three from Hell over it. So that's going to be the ranking. And Delirium's getting a far lower grade than any of that. So, and I feel bad saying that because I feel like they actually did put some work in it, but and it had some vision, but I just I don't see it. I just maybe it's just me, But there's a lot of movies like I almost feel like the James Wan thing. A lot of that didn't work out because the passion just died. It was a formula. Where I think like Three from Hell is a perfect example. Like it's a formula. He's done it over and over and over and over again. But why does it kind of work? Because it's fun. You can tell Rob Zombie actually likes making the movies. Like you can tell there's passion. It's not perfect, but there's something deeper behind it. Whereas I feel like with especially a lot of franchises like the James Wan, up until recently, it's kind of done like a little bit of a bell curve like that. Um, I just feel I feel like towards the end at the franchise when the whole universe thing was first developed, it was just losing passion. That's what it was lacking. There was no it becomes one of those jobs that I don't think people really cared about, and it just kind of became a daily grind. It's classic burnout. That's the sense I got watching a lot of them. It was all just, like, ooh, the nun's scary, then like new monsters, this. It wasn't that same interesting originality that came from like the Insidious or original Conjuring or Saw, even for that matter. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Um, all in all, I think the moral of this episode is things can be fun if you care. If you're doing something you care about and you don't have a passion, or you're doing something that you don't really care about, I need to phrase my words on this, you don't have a passion for it, it's gonna turn out it's gonna turn out professional, but it's not gonna turn out you. Then when you do something with your whole heart, your whole passion in it, it's gonna turn out you. But it might borderline that professional. It's gonna appeal to a niche market. And sometimes that's okay. In some regards, it's stability versus freedom. I mean, it's that constant human dilemma. Do we want to do what we want to do and creatively show off what we can do? Or do we want to give to the largest population possible? And it really is a dilemma, and not just in horror movies, in anything. You see this, and I need to review some, but I said I was going to end it here, but I'm not. So you see this a lot in things like anime. You have the good ones that are niche, like Dead Man Wonderland, one of my favorites. I get why people don't like it. Darling in the Franxx, I get why people don't like it. I'm trying to think of another that was just I really enjoyed. Um, well, Parasite was pretty popular, but I'll add that to the list because that has like no staying ability. But what matters to that is that, and I'm not saying my opinion's good. No, I'm saying to me, my opinion's good. I want to make that clear. To me, those resonated with me. They made me happy. They were good shows, and I liked them. And to me, that means a million times more than something like Avengers Infinity War that everyone enjoyed, because I feel that those more niche storylines are written for a specific community of people who will enjoy them, and only they will enjoy them. They're not the corporate kind of crap, essentially, that's just thrown on everyone. No, they were made. I like to think the author thinks of a certain, like, I've done writing, and you have to think of who's going to read it. Like, I'm publishing anything, but still think, I'm like, what do I want people to get out of this? And I think it's really important because those shows, I just know, especially Dead Man Wonderland, it spoke to me, like, on a level. I don't know what it was, just the whole aesthetic. I'm like, this show was made for me. And I think that's why, like, I think like things like, H.P. Lovecraft wasn't popular in his day for some other reasons too. He was a crazy, crazy dude that is a whole nother other story. He wasn't the nicest guy. But those stories were written for a very similar person to how he was. Someone who doesn't really like to be out in the open. Someone who doesn't really, who's very skeptical of the world around them. And I think that spoke to people, and that's why his stories are so popular today, and why they have, made it into a lot of gaming culture, because that's the joke, frankly, that like, oh, if you're a gamer, you don't go outside, which isn't true. But, for especially in the youth, sometimes that is, and mainly because other people won't accept you for your nerdy hobbies or whatever. And I think just putting behind the writing that extra passion can, actually change people. And it's a good thing, where you look at just a bunch of corporate garbage put out to make money. It's a cash grab. So, in my opinion, I think writing the good story is the best way to go. The one that's going to connect to people. But, same point, I get it. You got to put food on the table. If you're going to be a starving artist, then be prepared to starve. It's like, which sadly a lot of anime is. But, the ones that get a lot of recognition are like My Hero Academia. It's very bland. It's a very bland show. It's like every single shonen ever. You know, for those of you who don't know, shonen's like younger action kind of stuff for like young guys, essentially, is what it is. And it's the most cliche like out there right now that's being made. And people like it, that's good. I'm not here to take away that joy. But I just want to say, I don't think a lot of people say, hey, this is awesome. I can relate to this character. But no one ever stops to think, what is this about? What is the deeper meaning? How is the author speaking to me? How is this all working, you know? And I think that's the problem, really. I don't know. It's late at night. It's about 1 in the morning by me, so I'm gonna call it an actual day here. So have a nice night, morning, whatever in your time zone. Thank you for watching. It means a lot. Subscribe if you want to. No pressure, but I would really enjoy that. Comment. I'll always respond. Thank you. Unless it's something like really threatening or weird, because that's not cool. But you get the idea. I'm ending here.